Good morning, good afternoon, depending on your time zone. Welcome to the Legends Never Die, WPS and NPS are still available, still alive session. To this session, I invited the challengers, but because the information, I believe, important for everybody, so I included the MBCom colleagues also. So this is why you see that the audience is hybrid. The session is recorded. So later you can watch back. Moreover, if you have any question, feel free to use the chat window. Part of the presentation I try to not follow, but we will have enough time to talk about your open questions and about ideas, about any other feedback. So let me to share my screen, and I hope the delivered information will be useful for you. The microphones are muted. Maybe you can unmute yourself. If you have any urgent question, feel free to ask me. But as I mentioned, end of the session, we can talk about open questions, which was not mentioned, or you are curious about because it was not mentioned, etc. The first and the most important, this is for the challenger colleagues, that if you see any price information on the screen, all of the delivered information is under NDA. Part of the presentation, I will give you public information, but naturally, and as always, I am giving you strategical information, business strategical information. So because of this, please do not share this information, or please filter delivered information if you discuss with your customer or if you discuss with another partner, because not all information public. On today, I will talk you about the license overview, where we are now, because as I mentioned and as I announced, a lot of change happened. I will give you some strategical information, and I would like to highlight typical BOQ mistakes, because sometimes in the past I saw some BOQ and support lines missing, or part of the planning before the BOQ, some mistakes happen. So I would like to give you the value, and through this I would like to give a projector light that what type of issues can be about the planning, and then after the planning in the BOQs. Important information, please calm down. On the technology level, no change. So on today, we will talk about that how you can build up the opportunity and how you can position the product, or how you can select the right product and the right bundle or the right SKU from the price list. On the technology level, no change. So the proxy, SWIG, CloudSWIG. We have a management center. We have additional modules, we have a ZTNA. So itself the console, itself the product under the hood on the technical level or on the feature level didn't change. So on today, I will talk you only about the product types and how you can create the right BOQ and how you can position the product. Let's see first the bundles. This is just a quick recap that where we are now. So we have a Symantec web protection. And just on the high level, because I believe that everybody knows very well the solution, but need to refresh the knowledge. So under the hood, we are providing a CloudSWIG component, the Cloud Proxy component. We are giving the CASB visibility option for audit purposes. So it means that the CASB logs, the CloudSWIG logs shared with the CASB console, and there you can create a nice audit reports. We are giving the threat protection module, which means that if the employee reach the internet through the CloudSWIG infrastructure and download any malicious or potentially malicious application, that the threat protection will protect. And naturally, we can talk about the HSWIG, the on-premise proxy. So next to that, we are giving the content analysis, covering the threat protection function. Part of the CloudSWIG solution, we are giving the cloud firewall. What means this? So if the employees are using the CloudSWIG infrastructure, through this they reach not just the websites, the whole internet, because the agent is installed, then the cloud firewall can restrict the access to the internet. So itself, the CloudSwig is not just a web filter solution, can control that how the employee is can access to the internet if the agent is installed onto the clients. Part of the web protection bundle, we are giving the high risk isolation, which means that if the employee try to reach a suspicious or uncategorized website, or the settings level 5 to 10, which means that 5 can be malicious, nobody knows, and 10 is very non-malicious. So between this range, we can isolate the traffic. I believe that I don't need to talk about the isolation, but the high risk isolation is still under the hood in case of the web protection suite. And we are giving the management center, and you see that the reporter is not there. I removed virtually because may you know, and I believe you heard the information that the reporter end of life. So if the customer ordering the web protection suite, or if you're talking about the actual customers who are using the reporter, maybe the web protection suite, maybe they see the option to download the reporter, but it's the product end of sale and soon end of life. So please do not promise for your customers, if you're offering the web protection bundle, then they can implement the reporter. We have alternative option part of the presentation. I will talk about this, but the most important here that the reporter is maybe there, but it will be end of life. So please do not motivate the customer to use the reporter component. And naturally, part of the web protection suite, we are giving the intelligence service, which is a gene, basically. It gives the information for the SWIG or the CloudSwig, the information about the website categories, the threat risk level, and many information from the gene, which is important to protect the employees and the company protect the infrastructure. So this is about the web protection. In case of the network protection, we are giving more. Just a quick recap that what is under the hood. Naturally, the CloudSwig, the CASB visibility, the cloud firewall, and the SWIG is the same, so no difference. And the management center naturally. But part of the network protection, we are giving a host-based reporting, which means that if the employee is using the CloudSwig, so using the cloud proxy, that all of the activity will be stored in the reporter, which is on the same console, like in case of the CloudSwig. But in this case, you have an option to upload the logs from the on-premise proxy. So basically, we don't have an on-premise reporter in this case, but the customer has an option to upload the on-premise proxy proxy logs to the cloud. And in the same console, they can analyze, they can investigate, they can correlate the information which was generated by the employees or by the host, which is using the proxy in the cloud. Part of the comparison with the web protection bundle, here we are giving the full web isolation. So here the customer has a freedom to create individual rules that what they want to isolate, which means that comparing to the web protection when we can isolate only the suspicious, uncategorized and threat risk level 5 to 10 type of websites. Here the customer can create a rule that, for example, if the employee is opening the Facebook, then isolate the Facebook website. But if the employee tries to reach a community category websites, LinkedIn, Facebook, any other type of website, which is falling under this category, then the system will isolate. So here, you are not limited to isolate only the dangerous or potentially dangerous website. Here you can decide that, for example, if the employee is opening the Microsoft.com, that this website will be isolated. And part of the threat protection, we are giving additional function, and this additional function is the cloud sandboxing. So comparing to the web protection suite or web protection bundle, where we are, I don't want to say that just checking the malicious file, because it's at the gene and under the hood we are doing a lot of things. So basically, it's safe and give you a right and enough level of the security, or for the customer give a right level of the security. But some corporations, some customer, the sandbox detonation is important. So part of the network protection, by default, we are giving the sandbox solution under the hood. And the most important, maybe the this is one of the most important additional product in the package, the ZTNA, the Secure Access Cloud, which is giving the option for the customers to reach the internal network or the private cloud without using any VPN client. And what is the benefit of this? So if the customer choose the network protection bundle, I don't want to say that they can drop out the VPN solution, but maybe they can think about that, how they can reduce the cost, license cost of the VPN infrastructure, because the bundle per user based. So if the customer purchase the network protection bundle, then automatically give an entitlement for all protected employee to use the ZTNA solution. So through this, they can easily access to the internal network. Additionally, if the employee, because this is a new technology, and I think we talked about a long time ago, part of the webinars, MBCon webinars or Challenger events, about the features. So from now, or since 1 year, you have an option that if you install the agent onto the company-based computers, then the employee automatically will route it to the internal infrastructure. What means this? If I am sitting in the office network, I can reach the intranet and any other internal website. And if I'm leaving the organization, then the system automatically will switch through the agent to the cloud proxy. And through the cloud proxy, cooperating with the ZTNA, I can access to the internal network. So I don't need to think about that the VPN is running or not, or the VPN can run on my computer or not, because sometimes, for example, in the hotel network, they are restricting the access to the internet. So it will work, and I can access transparently to the internal network without doing anything. So basically, for the employees, I believe that this is the easiest way to work with the internal systems, because they don't need to worry about that, what is happening under the hood. They just connect to the internet, and on the computer, the agents will do the necessary steps, and the cloud automatically will drop the connection and drop the employee into the internal network. So the ZTNA bring a lot of feature for the customers, that how they can access to the internal network. I believe this is one of the most important technology if you are talking about the network products, which is combined with the cloud proxy solution. Here you see the high-level overview, because I will share with you the presentation, so feel free to use on the field, on your customer side or on your partner side, depending on your role. Here you see the high-level overview, the benefit of the network protect and the web protect packages. We are delivering the on-premise component, we are delivering the cloud component within a bundle, and through this, the company can decide that they want an on-premise solution only, or cloud solution only, or hybrid solution only. And part of the management center, because this is a standard part of the bundles, they can manage from the single console the policies, which means that if they are managing from the management center how the employee can access to the internet, then in a single console, they can configure, and the management center will deploy to the on-premise system and to the cloud system also. So this is a short summary about the web protection suite and the network protection suite. Here you see another slide, and I believe through this, much more easy to see that what is the difference between the two packages. Because this is important to scope. If you are talking with the customer through this, you can figure out that what type of component by default of the bundles. So in case of the web protection, as I mentioned, we are giving the on-premise and cloud proxy, the cloud firewall service, the content analysis. Intelligence service means the GIN access by default to get the category information, statistics information. Important, and part of the use cases and scenarios, we will talk about the reverse proxy. I disconnected a few seconds. So part of the reverse proxy, no special here, no special feature here. So it's a frequent questions from the partners and from the distributors that is it a dedicated product? Is it a dedicated solution? And the answer is not. So in this case, we talk about the on-premise AdSwig appliance, which is providing the reverse proxy. On today, I don't want to go deeper on this topic. So if you are curious at how the reverse proxy function is working, then naturally we can create a dedicated session and I can tell you the details about this feature. The most important here that itself the reverse proxy is not an additional product. Itself, this is an on-premise proxy. High risk isolation, this is a standard part of the web protection. Network protection is covering, but we are giving more. Centralized management, application visibility and control to see how the employees are using the internet, what type of application used by the employees. Hosted reporting, ZTNA, Zero Trust Network Access, aka Secure Access Cloud. And in this case, the network protection giving this type of features in the bundle. But naturally, and jumping back to the BOQ and the planning, the offering planning, for example, if the customer choose the web protection bundle, or itself the requirement fitting only to the web protection bundle, but for example, they need a full web isolation, then naturally a dedicated SKU available. So next to the web protection, you can offer the full web isolation option. So not necessary to automatically offer the network protection because maybe together the web protection bundle plus the web isolation price is much more cheaper comparing to the network protection price. Or for example, if the web protection is fitting to the customer, but the Secure Access Cloud is requirement, naturally the Secure Access Cloud is available as a separate SKU. So basically you can merge in the one single BOQ the web protection suite and the ZTNA SKU, and the customer can use this additional product, this additional feature. So not necessary to offer directly the network protection. Sometimes all additional feature necessary. So ZTNA full web isolation is excited for the customer. In this case, for example, in this example, the network protection is the recommended. And this is on the technical level, the short, high-level overview that what means itself the bundle. We are giving the on-premise solution, on-premise features, cloud solution. By the way, the on-premise not 100% true in any case. So nowadays we can talk about the private cloud. So for example, the customer is using AWS or Azure or GCP. So in this case, they can implement the on-premise named features or on-premise named products. So for example, the SFIG supports the solution to implement onto Azure. This is not on-premise. Somewhere this is a cloud, but not a software as a service solution. In this case, the customer using the infrastructure as a service. And then in this infrastructure as a service, they can implement this solution and they can use from the cloud, for example. So this is the high level of the solution. This is a hybrid solution in this case, and the customer typically can decide that we'll use the on-premise part, the cloud part, and the hybrid part. Later, I will tell you the details about the strategy. But next to that, may you know, and I believe you know, that we have a separated SKU. So the original plan was that Broadcom will end of life the web protection and the network protection bundle. And because of this, they separated the products. So every product in the portfolio available as a separate SKU. And the plan that the company will keep in the price list these devices, and depending on the customer requirement, you can offer the right solution. So as you see, and we had a lot of webinar about this, so I won't go through 101 on the SKUs. As I mentioned, if you have any question, feel free to ask in the chat window or we can schedule a meeting. I removed the prices because I will upload this webinar to the YouTube. So I don't want to share sensitive business critical information. So please check the prices for the details. But as you see, all components, in this case, the on-premise components are available as a separated solution. The on-premise proxy, the management center, just to mention randomly, important features, SSL visibility, or we can talk about the cloud hosted reporting if the customer want to upload the logs to the cloud. I will give you a detailed information part of this session. The only difference here that the web protection suite and the network protection suite per user based, if you are talking about the license metric. In case of the separated SKUs, you need to check the type of the licensing, because as you see, the cloud solution, the cloud hosted reporting per user based, but the edge SWIG, the proxy solution per core based, which means that how many CPU, how many processor configured to the virtual machine, to the proxy appliance, which is running in the virtualization environment. So here you need to size per core, and it was a headache. It was a typical headache for the technical team in case of the sizing, because in the past the per user based licensing was easy. We just reported that how many employees will be protected, and within this you create an unlimited number of the proxy virtual machine per site, or you can create a redundant infrastructure. But in this model, and that was the headache for the technical colleagues, per core based, you need to size accordingly the system. In case of the Greenfield project, is very hard because you need to determine in advance that how many core needed to cover the whole company internet traffic. And what is the issue here? If you undersize, I don't know why, but you undersize, the employee will receive an error message, or itself the proxy solution won't work. It will be overloaded. The performance won't be enough. Won't be enough good. So the user experience will be very bad, and through this, the feedback about the solution, about the product, will be bad. If you oversize, so you calculate more core than needed, then the company needs to pay too much for the license. And in this case, the leadership or the decision makers will be angry that in the next 1 year they can use the product, but it won't be utilized. Moreover, they paid too much for the solution. Naturally, in the next year, you can resolve this issue. So through the telemetry information, I will tell you the details later. Through the telemetry report, you can determine the right number of the cores, so you can optimize the BOQ. At the first year, it's a risk that it will be undersized or will be oversized. Best case, it will be sized accordingly. So here you see the list of the on-premise components per core based. In this case, if you select separately the individual solution from the portfolio. And here you see the new cloud-based SKUs. New means that created approximately in January, February, as I remember. So if, for example, the customer require only the ZTNA, the SEC solution, Secure Access Cloud solution, then you can offer as a separated SKU. Next to that, you don't need to offer any other cloud proxy solution. So this is not a mandatory requirement. The ZTNA is an individual solution, individual product, which can provide a remote access for the employees. So basically, easy to sell, per user based. And as you see, in case of the software as a service solution, we talk about typically user-based licensing, because we cannot calculate the core usage in the cloud. Broadcom is giving the service. You can manage through the website. You don't need to care about under the hood how many virtual appliance, how many system is running. Per user, you can license the product. Additional remark, maybe this is in the license guide, but important if it is not there, that the license metric is per user, but in the Broadcom world, a user is using 8 gigabyte traffic per month. Why is it important? If you are talking about a customer who is continuously streaming, for example, because this is a daily business process that they are broadcasting something, or itself the employee is continuously watching something, then need to calculate the right traffic, total traffic at this company, and need to calculate that how many user, in this case 8 gigabyte per month, covering this requirement, and need to multiply or need to calculate the right number of the users. So in this case, the user number of the employees indifferent. In this case, need to calculate the total traffic, and through this need to check that how many times they reach this usage, and through this you can calculate the right number of the user. If you're talking about a normal company using Office 365 or just employees simply browsing the internet, no worries. In this case, you just report that per user. As I mentioned, some customer, just an extreme example, using the cloud speak to watching the Netflix, because they can change the data centers. And for example, some series is not available in the region where they reside, then they switching, for example, the United States or any other region, and they can watch the series or the movie. But on the opposite side, they are occurring a huge network traffic, and this is, you see, it's not optimal for the cloud service, because occurring unexpected load, unexpected resource usage in the background. So this service, the cloud switch service, is for the normal, traditional office purposes. So this is about the licensing and the remark regarding the cloud-based licensing in case of the cloud proxy. If you are a visual type, here you see the additional viewpoint of the SKUs. So for example, if you want to offer the content analysis, then here you see the SKU. But if you want to offer a cloud content analysis, including the cloud sandboxing, so here you see the connection to the cloud sandboxing, then here you see the related SKU. If you want to offer only the ZTNA, then here you see the SKU for the ZTNA and the additional SKUs. So basically, this is the map, or this is a cheat sheet that where you can find the SKUs. You can position the SKU is on-premise or cloud component. Moreover, you can figure out the right solution, and maybe if it is useful, you can present for your customer, and through this, you can select the right solution, and you can select the right product, and through this, you can determine that need to offer the web suite, web protection suite, network protection suite, or the individual SKUs. Here I want to get the opportunity that I announce the new appliance on the field. So you know that we have a 210, 410, and now we have the SSP 620/10 appliance. In the presentation, I shared this link, so feel free to open and check the details, the technical details about the appliance. So this appliance is available. You can order from November, as I know, but the technical details are publicly available, and in the next price list will be published the SKU for this appliance. Here, my personal remark, as you see, that the system by default contains two network interfaces, but this is for the management. It means that by default, for this appliance, you need to add the network interface card, because by default, I don't want to say that it will be unusable, but to be on the safe side, because these ports assigned to the management function, my recommendation to choose the right card, network interface card to the appliance, and include to the BOQ, include in your offer. What type of interface, network interface card supported? If you open the link, then you can browse and you can check that what type of card compatible with this appliance. So the compatibility is very important. Comparing to the previous or actually available appliances, you cannot buy network interface card from the field. So it's have the supported and compatible cards determined by the colleagues, and on the website you can check the exact details that what type of cards are available for this device. Now let's see the opportunity strategies and the unique use cases. So I don't want to talk about that if the customer requirement is the proxy access, that what you need to select. Everybody knows very well. I just want to highlight for you, not the difficulty, the options, if you are talking about the special or unique use cases. and give you a helping hand to make a comparison or figure out that what is the best for the customer. So let's see the first and the easiest requirement. The customer wants an on-premise solution, on-premise proxy solution, including the content analysis. The management center and any other additional add-on is not mentioned here. So we are talking about the pure requirement that they need a proxy solution, including the antivirus solution. Next to that, you can figure out the add-ons. And as you see, the clients want to use the on-premise proxy, and naturally the servers are using the on-premise proxy, and all of the content will be inspected with the content analysis. Here you see the business-related analysis, and as I mentioned, I removed the prices. Internally, I will send a version where you see the price. So as you see, the yellow line is a linear line, which means that as the number of the customer or protected employee is growing, then the MSRP price linearly growing, and you see that nothing special here. But part of the core base sizing, you see here that, for example, here we need till approximately 300 users, one appliance from the XFIG, one appliance from the content analysis. And till 200 people, the bundle solution is cheaper. So you need to offer the bundle. But between 200 and somewhere 300, the core-based solution is cheaper. So don't offer the bundle, because in this case, the solution is cheaper. As I mentioned, this is the wide calculation, and I didn't add additional add-ons. So if you are calculating the final BOQ, then maybe itself the core-based solution will be expensive. But here you see that here the space is much more bigger. So if you are talking approximately 550 protected employee, then in this case, the core-based, so the selected SKUs, BOQ cheaper than the bundle option. So this is the wide calculation about that which type of licensing model is cheaper, the protection, web protection bundle, or the core-based SKU, selected SKU BOQ. Here you see another wide calculation where I requested the system to calculate to 10 key user. And as you see, the suite solution more and more expensive comparing to the accordingly sized, accordingly planned core-based solution. So my recommendation, because this is not a 100% precise or accurate calculation, that please, if you are talking about the easy on-premise solution or on-premise requirement, then calculate both options, the bundle version and the core-based version. And through this, you will see that which is fitting better or which is giving the better price for the customer. And again, this is the MSRP, so naturally here we are not talking about discounts. So the final price for the solution naturally can be changed. So this is the example about one proxy and one content analysis. If you're talking about the enterprise company, naturally it's not fitting to the requirement, because in this case, it's a risk that what will happen if the proxy is not working, and the servers and the employees cannot reach the internet. So this is the extreme example, but through this, I believe that you understand that why important to always sit down and calculate the numbers and calculate the potential license scenario. In the next example, and in this case, we are much more closer to the enterprise companies, we can talk about that they need a multiple number of the proxy because they want to provide a HA, high availability solution, or load balancing solution, or they have a multiple site, multiple exit, they have a Azure infrastructure, and they want to go out to the internet from the Azure. The on-premise employees need to go out to the internet from the on-premise component. So a lot of justification can be that why they need a multiple proxy or multiple content analysis, including the management center. So in this case, what I see that the bundle is the best, typically the best, because if you're talking about the core-based calculation. Depending on the solution, depending on the requirement, typically you need to multiply the number of the cores with the number of the planned appliances, or depending on the plan, you need to cumulate all of the required core. And in this case, and in this test calculation, if you are talking about two redundant system, two hosts for proxy and content analysis, antivirus function, you see that if we are talking about just two, so we multiply with two with the standard infrastructure, then the bundle cheaper comparing to the core-based calculation. Here is another example in case of the reverse proxy. What means this? The company has a web server. It's running in the data center or public cloud, and the visitors want to visit this web server. So in this case, the proxy not handling the employee traffic, in this case, handling the visitors traffic and continuously check and send the content for the visitors from the web server. In this case, the recommendation to apply the core-based calculation. Why? Because in this case, you cannot determine that how many people will be protected. So itself, the licensing strategy or a licensing policy from the Broadcom side, if we define the per user terminology, then it means that we are protecting the employees. But in this scenario, we are not protecting employees. In this scenario, we are publishing the website, and maybe a million people will continuously browse this website. So because of this, we cannot determine the right number of the users because no user here. So in this case, if you want to keep the not just the license agreement, if you want to keep a correct way to calculate the licenses, then you need to apply the core-based SKU offer or option, and you need to calculate that how many core needed to cover the traffic. Naturally, we talk about the peak traffic in this case. How many core needed to cover the web server traffic from the visitors to the internal website. And here you see additional example that was a headache in the past because itself the Symantec messaging gateway still alive, supporting the communication with the content analysis. What means this? If I am receiving any email, the messaging gateway will receive and will analyze that is it a phishing site or the attachment or the content malicious or not malicious. And we have an option to not just inspect with the messaging gateway Symantec engine, there is an option to send to the content analysis the content, and next to that, the content analysis can send the content to the cloud sandbox. So basically, we can extend the security of the messaging gateway because by default, the messaging gateway is giving the Symantec antivirus, not only because it's fine, it's good, we like it, but sometimes the requirement that the customer want to detonate the suspicious contents. So through the content analysis, the messaging gateway can send the content and can detonate. That was the headache in the past before the individual SKUs released. The customer had only the Symantec messaging gateway and they used a third-party proxy. And they didn't want to replace this third-party proxy solution because they satisfied with the vendor, with the solution. And in this case, it was a headache that, okay, we are giving the messaging gateway that, but if the customer want to use the content analysis and the cloud sandbox detonation, then we need to offer the whole web protection and the network protection bundle. And on the opposite side, the customer, as I mentioned, used another proxy solution and they didn't want to replace. So from now, and this is a lucky situation that we have a separated SKU, from now you can offer the content analysis. So if you have any messaging gateway customer, then you can offer the content analysis, including the signing. Additionally, here I want to highlight that in the price list, if you check the price list, we are offering two types of messaging gateway. The standard messaging gateway, this contains the standard messaging gateway functions and the antivirus engine. But we have a SMG/content analysis CAS sub, which means that this appliance doesn't contain any antivirus engine. But if you offer and it's a mandatory requirement then. If you offer the content analysis next to the Symantec messaging gateway, then all of the content will be sent to the content analysis, optionally, if you include the malware analysis service into this package, then you can detonate in the cloud. So basically, you can optimize the price of the Symantec messaging gateway, and you can add additional feature for the customer. It can be an upsell option, for example. So on today, if you have any messaging gateway customer, and the requirement is to increase the security of the system, then feel free to offer the content analysis, because this system has a multiple antivirus engine, Symantec, Clamev, Sophos bring your own license. Moreover, we are providing the cloud sandbox solution. And part of that, because we are talking about only the license key, you can offer part of the renewal, the SMG TSOS sub version. And after they replace the license key, without reinstalling the messaging gateway, they can switch from the traditional messaging gateway antivirus content checking to the messaging gateway content analysis cloud sandbox detonation option. So you can easily convert your customer, and you can give additional security level if the customer opened to apply this solution. Hybrid option. This means that the customer and the employees reaching only the cloud swig, and some customer, or if they are going to the on-premise office infrastructure, they're switching the on-premise solution. Naturally, in this case, the bundle recommended, so no question, or optional, you can do the calculation, but typically the bundle option is the best from the price perspective for the customers. On the opposite side, because we are talking about not just the cost efficiency, we can talk about that what the employee is using. So in this case, I jump back to here, because the customer want to use only the on-premise solution, and this is the second justification that why I recommend to calculate the right price, because if you offer the bundle, and the company will create the cloud component, and the company need to maintain the cloud component. This is the additional resource, additional power consumption, additional employee resource. So basically, much of the cost of the total cost of the ownership is much more higher, moreover, not green. So if you see the option that the core-based license is more fitting from the price perspective and from the requirement perspective for the customer, then please offer the core-based solution, not the cloud-based solution, independently that under the hood part of the bundle we are giving more for the customer. If they never will use, then unnecessary to keep on stock or keep alive the cloud tenants. So this is the last example about the BOQ options. My recommendation that in this case, offer the bundle, because this is the easiest way to license the system. Now, let's see the BOQ common mistakes. The first and the most important that typically what I saw and see that the additional network interface card doesn't have a support. I show you the exact example. Here you see that we are offering the web protection subscription. We are offering the SSP 210/10 as an appliance. Naturally, we are adding the standard plus, because if an issue is about hardware issue about the appliance, then we need to cover with the support, replacing the broken part. And typically the colleagues adding the network interface card because need to extend the number of the interface or need to change the type of the interface, but they are not adding the support line of the network interface card. I believe you know that part of okay, I disconnected again. I hope you heard now. So the issue here that if anything happens with the system, then the support covering this. And itself, the support line is an exact total value percentage of the need to calculate the percentage of the hardware device. As I remember, in case of the Standard Plus is 0.17%. So this is the support, but this belongs only to the hardware. This is the 70%, no, not 0.70, 17% of the total value of the hardware appliance. So if you increase the value of the hardware appliance, so you put more and more interface card into the device, then you increase the total value of the appliance. So because of this, you need to include the additional hardware components support fee. And typically this is missing. And what is the issue in this case? If the customer facing an issue or the device, the network card device broken or not working properly and need to replace, then the company can refuse to replace this part because itself the support fee doesn't cover this part of the configuration, because typically because of one single line and this line assigned only to the SSP platform, not covering the support, and the company will say no if the customer requests the replacement. So again, if you have a hardware and if you include additional hardwares, then the total value of the hardware will increase. So because of this, please include the additional lines, which is covering the hardware support of the additional components. The second, not BOQ mistakes, but preparing the BOQ, my recommendation to do the POC before BOQ. The sizing is very important here. So if you are talking about the greenfield project, then need to size accordingly the system. So if possible, please do the POC and please check before you offer and you size on the paper the system, that in the reality, how many CPU, how many core needed, if you are talking about core-based licensing. Because sometimes the reality is totally different, because, for example, the customer is using old hardwares or a multiple number of virtual machines running next to the planned proxy solution. So the performance here are critical because, as I mentioned, the users always will feel if the website appearing slowly on the screen. Another typical issue is the number of the network interface card and number of the free slots. So as you see, in this example, the hardware has 2 free slots. Or optionally, you can replace the by default installed network interface card. But what will happen if later the customer decide that they need a SSL visibility option? In this case, for the 410 appliance, you need to provide a quad card. On part of this meeting, I won't explain the details, but always calculate the real number of the free slots and the option at how you can install additional cards into your system. And part of the renewal, you can do the health check. It's not a mistake, it's just an advice that if you're talking about the renewal, then you can do the health check. On the technical level, the colleagues can do the health check. Moreover, Broadcom can support with the telemetry report to give a value for the customer part of the renewal. So please use this option because this is very helpful. Now let's see the BOQ in case of the customers. On the high level, because the time is running, here you see the high level questionnaire that what you need to know if you want to scope the right solution, and not just the right solution, you make a decision that the bundle version or the bundle is the way, or the separated SKUs. If you have any question, feel free to return to me and we can clarify the details. If you're talking about the conversion, so for example, you want to convert your customer from the bundle to individual type of licensing, because the customer using a long time ago a bundle, but for example, they are fitting one of the example that I mentioned a few minutes ago, fitting to the scenario where the core-based solution is cheaper. Part of that, we can give a telemetry report. So option 1, You can download the sysinfo information from the appliance. This is for the technical colleagues, belong to the technical colleagues, so they can download the sysinfo information, which contains all of the information about the appliance, performance information, statistics about the usage of the appliance, and they can upload and they can create a quick analysis. So this is available for everybody, all of the partner and all of the technical colleagues inside MBCom. So they can do the quick analysis that how the appliance utilized. And as a next step, they can declare that stronger appliance needed, part of the renewal, so more core license needed, or need to change itself the appliance because they are using the bundle, so it doesn't matter how many core license, but need to increase the capacity of the system. But next to that, Broadcom can give you a telemetry report if you need this telemetry report. So this is a message for the challenger colleagues or for the partners, that if you need a telemetry report, then please contact your local MBCom sales and pre-sales, and we can get this information and we can share with you this report. And this is a Excite content. So through this, the customer will see that how many issue, how many malicious activity, how many attacks happened against the system. So this is the additional value for the customers, because through this is a very detailed telemetry report. They can get a lot of information, and I believe that make much more easier to make a decision that they want to continue the journey with the MB Broadcom solution, or they want to replace to another solution. And believe me, it's the content enough good and enough deep to glad the customer and make much more smoother itself the renewal process. This is a typical feedback from the field. So this is what I want to tell you about the new packaging structure. What you can do, how you can do. If you have any question, let me to check the chat window, then let's go through on that. Result on question, why would the enterprise console show that WPS is not activated when it is actively used in environment where CloudSwig is integrated to Cloud? So CASB, where the audit info is updated via Swig, yet enterprise console for the client shows VSS not activated. Sorry for that, but I cannot answer to you because we planned a quarter meeting. Please let me to check this thing on this meeting, or till this meeting we can go deeper. I don't know. Dear Kaman, any chance we will see local sandboxing being reinstated in the same way WPS NPS bundles are? The malware analysis end of life, and unfortunately, no replacement in the Broadcom portfolio. So I cannot give you any good news or good idea that what will be the next step or the best step about the local sandboxing. I hope in the future the company will create a bridge, or will create a connector with another third-party solution which is available on the market, or maybe will be a Broadcom-based sandbox. I don't know. So this is not no details about this. So let's see that what we can do. Part of the cloud sandboxing, by default, we are giving to the network protection bundle. But if you need a cloud sandboxing for the web protection suite and for the CloudSwig solution, because by default the content analysis get this option, the cloud sandboxing option, then you can add additional SKU and you can offer for the customer. I don't know, is this an answer to your question or not? Let me to scroll back quickly to the cheat sheet. Maybe I can show you visually that how is working, but I don't see suddenly, and I don't want to waste the time. So this is the my answer on the short, on the high level. Okay, thank you, Rizad, on the confirmation. We will talk about this. Okay, is any additional question? Please hit the enter if you are in the middle of the sentence, just to see that you are typing. Okay, I don't see any additional questions. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope the delivered information was useful for you. Soon I will release the recorded version of this session. And as always, if you have any additional question, then feel free to contact with me and we can clarify. Okay, Cass, within WPS contains sandbox. You mentioned NPS provide cloud sandbox. Question: the same sandbox moved from the NPS. Okay, so again, if you are giving the web protection suite and the content analysis, get the cloud sandboxing, but the cloud swig not. If you give the network protection suite, the content analysis, as by default, get the cloud sandboxing option and get the cloud swig feature, the cloud sandboxing option. So this is a little bit tricky, what type of product and what type of solution get the cloud sandboxing. So again, the content analysis always get the cloud sandboxing option in case of the web protection and in case of the network protection. We need to finish now the meeting because we will overrun otherwise on the negotiated time. So thank you again for the attention. If you have any additional question, then please send me an email and we will continue outside of this session. Thank you. Bye.